I get everybody in Mexico City running around with masks on. I mean, tell me, what good is that going to do you? Zero.
Is there going to be a mass exodus to the U.S. from Mexico?
Hardly. Hardly. Now, Mexico is really concerned about people coming back, especially the states along the border, like Chihuahua and Sonora and all those border states, because they don't have the housing, they don't have any jobs for them, and some of them are been without work for a year or two in the United States. I don't know what they're going to do, because there's no jobs in the U.S. anymore, and that's going to get worse too. And at the resorts in Mexico and throughout the world, there is 25 to 60% capacity, filled capacity, that is going on right now. And then, of course, you have the scare. I would imagine that in some resorts that they're probably running 10%. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And in Mexico, they talked about isolating the people and having the military take over. They're taking the orders from Washington. And the people who run Mexico are Harvard and Yale graduates. They're all CFR, trilateralist types. They stole the election with the help of the U.S. government from the man who really won the election. So they get their own set of problems. But there are places to go that don't have problems, or at least to any great extent. Although I must say that the U.S. government is leaning on every government in the world, not just the ones that have offshore banking. They're demanding everything from these countries. And, like if you have people who are making large financial transactions, now, this is if you live in Argentina or Chile or Costa Rica or Kazakhstan. The United States government wants to know about it. What's a large transaction? Anything over $10,000. You have to prove where the money came from. You shouldn't have to prove that. They say it's to stop money laundering. What it is to find out where your assets are so the governments can steal them. That's why. I mean, let's get serious. There's no other reason for them to know. Oh, they tell you they're going to track down terrorists, and of course, everybody who moves to Buenos Aires or Panama City or something like that and deposits $100,000 in their account, automatically. They're terrorists, of course. Of course they're not terrorists. What they are is normal people who want to get away from the oppressive U.S. government, or the oppressive Canadian government, or the oppressive British government, which is probably worse than the United States. There's a lot of people immigrating out of one country to another. Whether they're all making the right move is irrelevant. They are moving. And governments are upset about it because they think, the governments think, that your money belongs to them. And don't ever forget it.
Did you have any questions, Bob?
Yes, I have three.
I've got.
You going to allow me to do these three first?
Oh.
Maybe?
I suppose.
Okay, here we go. According to an article below, the Israelis are poised to strike Iran sooner or later. They're just waiting for Netanyahu's go-ahead. Is there something to this? Do your sources have anything on this? If so, what kind of time frame do you think we're looking at? And I have heard like everybody else has, that Israel is very anxious to extend their boundaries further by invading Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and they want more control in the Middle East. It's very common among fascist governments. Look what we got in the United States. If you don't agree with us, we'll boycott you. Now, a boycott is war. It's financial and economic war. But anyway, getting back, if Israel invades anybody, it will be probably 99 chances out of 100 on orders from the United States. And is that going to happen? The answer is yes. When? I don't know. And the reason why is they want to go into Pakistan, and they want to split the country up and balkanize it, if you may, and using Afghanistan and Iraq as bases of operation. And that way they can influence India and China from the back door, so to speak, and also Russia, for that matter. And it's an outflanking of BRIC countries, as they're now known, and they have to have a war to divert people's attention from what's going on in the world, and particularly in the United States, financially and economically. And we just mentioned that in relation to this swine flu fiasco. And, the question comes up, what did they do in 1918? I'm very familiar with what happened in 1918, and whether that was a natural occurring event or something dreamed up by these eugenicists at that time, I don't know. But I know that my father had the flu in 1918, and he eventually got Parkinson's disease because of it, and that caused his death later in life. And his father, my grandfather, died in that flu epidemic. And so it was real, and it killed millions of people. And, the question arises, too, why is the government digging up corpses in Alaska out of the tundra of people who died in that epidemic and taking samples so that they can maybe use this in experiments, maybe make a biowarfare from it? Again, you've got to understand that these people are absolutely insane. Now, this may be a trial run. It may be the real thing for all I know. Usually when you have epidemics like this, with strains of flu, they usually run out in 3 or 4, 5 or 6 weeks. They don't hit all over the world at the same time like this one did. That wasn't by chance. That was done that way for a reason. And if it runs out of that at the end of that time, then you'll know it was a trial run. There's a lot of things here. Very often the governments will try to find out how much tolerance people have got toward being herded around because there is an epidemic, or creating martial law because the people have to be protected and things like that. There's a lot of parts to this whole thing that would take too long to go into. But anyway, I answered the question on the Middle East, and I think they're going to do it, but I don't know when. And people who I know over there, they tell me by the end of the summer. But I don't know. But the chance is big. And the excuse is that Iran might have a nuclear device. And we already know Pakistan has nuclear devices. And incidentally, neither of those two countries belong to the, we'll call it the International Atomic Energy Commission, not to have bombs made out of nuclear material. They never joined. And incidentally, that was one of the things that JFK was going to put an end to, because he knew through our intelligence that Israel had, at that time, atomic weapons. And he wanted to put a stop to that. And it cost him his life, among other things. So I think that it'll happen. Again, I don't know when. Another question,